When we look at a masterpiece from the Renaissance, what do we see? We see the genius of a single name: Botticelli, Leonardo, Michelangelo. We see stories of gods and saints, of real people captured in a moment of stunning reality. But what if I told you that behind almost every one of these famous paintings, there was a hidden force? A secret world of power, knowledge, and control that is almost invisible to us today. This isn't a story about conspiracies or secret societies in the way we think of them. It's about something far more real and far more influential: the guild. Today, we think of a guild as something from a video game, or maybe an old word for a union. But in the Renaissance, a guild was everything. It was your school, your family, your insurance plan, and your government all rolled into one. If you wanted to be a goldsmith, a wool merchant, or a stonemason, you couldn't just open a shop. You had to belong to the guild. They decided who could work, what materials you could use, the quality you had to meet, and even the prices you could charge. These weren't small, shabby clubs. The guilds were some of the most powerful organizations in Europe. In cities like Florence, they were the backbone of the economy and politics. To be outside the guild was to be an outcast, unable to legally practice your craft. They protected their members, but they also fiercely protected their secrets. And this is where our story takes a surprising turn, right into the painter's studio. You would think that the great painters of the Renaissance, men like Leonardo da Vinci or Filippo Lippi, would belong to a powerful guild of painters. It makes sense. But for a very long time, especially in the heart of the Renaissance, Florence, that guild didn't exist. So, where did they belong? The answer is the real hidden guild of our story, and it's a strange one. Painters were members of the Arte dei Medici e Speziali, the guild of doctors and apothecaries. Doctors and pharmacists? What could they possibly have in common with artists? The answer is one simple, crucial thing: chemistry. To be a painter back then, you didn't just walk to an art store and buy a tube of paint. You had to make it yourself. And where did the raw materials for paint come from? The same place medicines did. They came from exotic spices, crushed minerals, rare earths, and even ground-up insects. An apothecary sold these things, and an artist bought them. The painter's studio was like a laboratory. It smelled of linseed oil, turpentine, and strange chemicals. The artist and his apprentices were the original alchemists of color. They would take a rock of lapis lazuli, imported at great expense from Afghanistan, and grind it for days to create the most precious color of all, ultramarine blue. This color was worth more than gold. A tiny amount could cost a fortune, and its recipe was a secret guarded as fiercely as a state treasure. This is why they were in the Apothecaries Guild. They were seen as skilled craftsmen working with chemical preparations. The guild's secrets weren't about secret handshakes, they were about recipes. How do you get the purest blue? What's the right way to mix egg yolk for tempera paint so it doesn't crack? How do you prepare a wooden panel so the paint will last for 600 years? These were the trade secrets that separated a master from a hack. Sharing them outside the guild was unthinkable. It would ruin your reputation and your business. And to learn these secrets, you had to go through the system. Imagine being a young boy, maybe 12 years old. You would be given to a master painter as an apprentice. For years, you wouldn't even touch a brush. You would sweep the floors, run errands, and spend endless, back-breaking hours grinding pigments with a stone slab. You would learn the feel of the minerals, the smell of the oils. You were learning the craft from the ground up, literally. Only after years of this labor would you be taught how to prepare a wood panel, how to draw, and eventually, how to paint. You would start with unimportant parts of a painting, a bit of background, a piece of a robe. You took an oath of loyalty to your master and the guild. Your entire life, your future, your identity was tied to this system. It was slow, it was hard, but it ensured that the standards of quality were incredibly high. It's why this art has survived, and the guild's power was absolute. They could settle disputes, inspect workshops for quality, and punish anyone who broke the rules. The famous architect Brunelleschi, the man who built the giant dome of Florence's cathedral, was once arrested and thrown in jail because he tried to hire stonemasons who weren't from the correct guild. He was a genius, But even he couldn't defy the system. The guild was more powerful than any single artist. So, the next time you find yourself in a museum, standing in front of one of these timeless works, take a moment. Look past the artist's famous signature. See the hidden hands. See the apothecary who sold the rare earth. See the young apprentice who spent a week grinding that perfect, heavenly blue. See the guild master who inspected the work and declared it worthy. You're not just looking at a painting. You're looking at the final result of a secret world. A world of guarded knowledge, of intense labor, and of collective power. The genius belongs to the artist, but the masterpiece belongs to the hidden guild.